Hi, Tuheena.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Hi.
It's been a few weeks, I've been making some videos on Instagram, and in some of the videos, I talked about my experience of the Hatha Yoga Teachers Training Program. And as a result of that, I've got several questions. A lot of people write in asking about the program, asking about various aspects of the training, how to decide if it's the right sort of path for them in that sense, and some practical aspects as well. So a lot of people have been messaging with questions, and I try to respond to them as much as possible on text. But I figured that having a chat with Hatha Yoga teachers would probably be the best way to get your questions answered. Also, listening to other Hatha Yoga teachers talk about their journey, talk about their experience, and how the teachers training program has been for them. How has life been after the program? Whether it's the experience of teaching, whether it's sustainable, how fulfilling it is, and sort of hearing it from them would also help you get some clarity around this if you are thinking about taking this path up. So before I begin, I'll introduce our guest, Tuheena, today. A lot of you would have already seen the sessions that Tuheena and I did where we were discussing various aspects of yogic diet. So Tuheena is an Isha Hatha Yoga teacher. We're both from the same batch, and we were also roommates during the training. So we're both from the 2017 batch of Isha Teachers Training. Tuheena, before this, was working in Bombay as a cinematographer, and she's very, very talented. She also sings and plays the guitar very beautifully. So she's very talented and absolutely lovely human being. Throughout the training, she was a major source of inspiration for me because I saw her so strong in her dedication and devotion towards the program and towards giving it not just her 100%, but even beyond that. So I have immense respect and regard for her, not just for who she is as a person, but the kind of teacher she is, and just the kind of sadhaka she is. So I'm really very happy to be doing this with Tuheena. Tuheena has started Vahanam Isha Hatha Yoga in Ahmedabad, and she's been running that for a few months now. So we'll first hear from Tuheena now. I'll stop talking. Tuheena, if we'll start with a little bit about your journey. How did Isha happen for you, and then of course how did the teachers training program happen for you?
Right. Okay. So, Kanika, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me and in this beautiful discussion. And you have been a big source of my inspiration as well. The way I've seen you through the training, just with so much gentleness, you would go through the entire process with that much openness. You went through a lot of health crisis during the period of training, but the way you just went through it with a smile on your face. She'd have to take B12 shots, and then she would still do her sadhana. If she was not able to do it physically, she would close her eyes and visualize it. But she just completely went for it. So that was a huge source of inspiration. So thank you so much for just being there. And other than that, the way you have taken teaching as a process and the way how dedicatedly you've given your life to it, that is something that inspires, I think, not only me, but every Isha Hatha Yoga teacher, you know. Um, so my journey with yoga happened by accident. To be very honest, I was never interested in yoga. The word yoga would just scare me. I used to find it very boring. But a lot of time, my parents would tell me that you should do yoga. My parents have been doing yoga for quite many years, on and off, different kinds of yoga. But nothing really appealed me. But what made me gravitate towards it is that when my mother's health went down, and she was diagnosed with certain disease, and at that point, I could see that um, she had a choice, she had a choice to live or not to live. And she chose life. And she was able to make it happen because she was initiated. She had started doing certain Kriya Yoga, uh, started doing Kriya Yoga, and a little bit of, Hatha Yoga, the basics, Upa Yoga, that comes as part of Shambhavi. And before my eyes, I could see that.
My tripod's broken, so it's like a makeshift arrangement that I've got. Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. So I could see, just in matter of few months, my mom's health really improved, and she was able to move, she was able to talk, she used to, was able to start doing Zumba. I had seen
Wow.
her at a place where she was not even able to move from her bed properly, and all of this just happened quite rapidly considering the gravity of the disease that she had. And that really made me think, that maybe there is something more to yoga than what I understand. And I was very intrigued. And then I immediately went for inner engineering program, and I did a residential course at the ashram. And I went there with a lot of reservations. There was openness, but still, like you have this thing that what if this is a cult, and they're like these people, and why they always smiling, and it's just like why they're wearing white, and all these questions I had. And I sat there, a little very closed off. But I think in couple of hours, everything just dropped. And I was just I became part of that process. I was just so involved. And I think after I was initiated, I was just so overwhelmed and taken aback by the entire experience of it that I was like, okay, there is something to it. There's something to life that I still haven't discovered and I've still not understood. And here I have found a tool to, take that journey inward. And that's how it started. I didn't complete my mandala, I'll be honest. I didn't complete it. I was working as a cinematographer at that time, and I was also a little lazy. My lifestyle was not the best. It was there was nothing yogic about my lifestyle at all, the way it was before. But again, a year passed. And I think it hit me again where I was like, I can't, I cannot. Once I have tasted, once you've tasted what it could be, you can't pretend for too long that it doesn't exist, So I think that was it, After a year, I think I was just like, okay, I need to revisit, I need to just discover more that's happening. And from within, there was this strong feeling that I should just go for teachers training program, and that to Isha Ashram. And that sounded even ridiculous in my head because I've never done yoga in my life. I'm not flexible at all. And here is a part of me which is just bursting with this thought that that's what I should be doing. And never had that much clarity in my life before. So it was just, I think I discussed it with my parents. They were also a little surprised, like, beta, do you want to speak to a therapist? Maybe that'll help. And I was like, no, perhaps I should just, I thought to take it seriously, maybe I should join a Isha Hatha Yoga class and, just do it. So after I'd applied for my training, is when I learned Surya Shakti and Angamardana. These two were the first practices that I learned. It broke my body completely. But after I did like one cycle of Surya Shakti, just one cycle of Surya Shakti, I just felt a certain kind of vibrancy. And since then, it was just like there's no going back. This is it, and I just came to training that way. So. Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about the application process. How was it for you? The interview process. I've spoken about this in a podcast I did recently with Sadhana. And I spoke about how the application. Now for me, someone like me, I had no idea about Isha when I decided to do the teacher training program. I hadn't even done inner engineering at that time.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was mainly to, do a teacher's training program. It sort of just happened. And so the reason I did inner engineering was to do the
Mm.
teacher's training program, because it was mandatory. So I remember
Correct,
before that,
correct.
when the whole application process was happening. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd already, sent the essay that you're supposed to write, like the statement of
Yeah,
purpose, the application, and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
And I had an interview call, the interview call with Ryan Anna, and
Oh,
I
me too.
remember, and I remember that interview itself was so beautiful that I was like, this
Yeah,
feels so right, And I hadn't
yeah.
interacted with any Isha person before this. It was just emails
Mm-hmm.
to, schedule and apply.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so
Mm-hmm.
touched by just the way these people would communicate. Like, the emails they would write, it would be namaskaram, pranam. I'd never experienced
Right.
anything like that. And it just felt so
Yeah,
gentle and so beautiful. And
yeah.
the interview process that I happened to have with Ryan was so lovely. It went over. It was for, I think, almost 2 hours long. And it was such a beautiful interview that at every step
Yeah,
I felt like this is the right choice for me to make. So for people who, ask a lot of times that, do you think I should do the teachers training program? I just want to say something here that, it'll nobody other than you can make that decision or give you advice about that.
definitely.
And it would be very
Mm.
unfair, for Tuheena or for me to say that yes, I think you should do the teachers training program, because
Correct.
it's a very intensive program. It requires substantial investment of time, money. You're investing essentially 5 months of your life in this. So I genuinely feel that it should be something that is on you alone to, take that decision. Of course, in terms of sharing our experiences and sharing whatever information we have, we're very happy to do that. But that actual decision, I would say, don't ask anyone. It should be your decision to take
Yeah,
that. Like Tuhina said that, she took that call that she wanted to do it. And
yeah.
yeah, so I'm just going off track a little. So yeah, Tuhina,
Mm.
continue with what you were saying, the application process for you.
So the application process was very interesting because with each question, I also remember that they had given us some supplementary information to read about. Each practices, there was text that had come along with it explaining what it is and what is yoga and the understanding of yoga that we have. And what really struck with me is when Sadhguru, in that text, it said that yoga means union. It's not about how much you can bend or twist and these things like that. It's about connecting. And when I was reading that leaflet that was given, and I was just going through that, I just felt like, okay, this makes sense because as of now, the yoga that I was exposed to, it just seemed very, unattainable almost. Purely because of the asanas and things like that, and the understanding that I had, sometimes I had gone to the gym and they'd make us do yoga, and I really hated, because I'd be like, why are they not making me close my eyes? I was naturally close my eyes. The pace was so fast that I'm going to break my body if I go at that speed. So, when I read something like this, I was like, okay, now I can connect, I can understand that this is something which aligns with what deep within me already kind of knew. So, when there are certain questions, I was very honest about why I was doing this. And I remember it very clearly when I said that I just want to change my life completely. The reason I wanted to do the Isha Hatha Yoga program was not because I wanted to become a teacher or because I wanted to, change profession. It was purely because I wanted to completely change myself from within. It's like dismantling myself and then building myself all over again. And I had that kind of trust, with Sadhguru, just because I had seen my mother's health improve. So that was the strong motivation for me to, when I was going through that application, everything was coming from that space. Like I said, I was a little skeptical if they're going to take me or not because my lifestyle was very, frivolously I was living. So I had my doubts. But Ryan Anna he took my interview, and he was so non-judgmental about how I had been, and very open, and we had a beautiful conversation. And I think he understood where I was coming from. He could sense um, my drive, or my not desperation. Desperation has a negative connotation. I can't think of another word, but he could just see that I need this, and I'll do whatever it takes to just bring that transformation. And that was the truth, at that time. And then he asked me to do one thing, and I was so nervous. He asked me to show him how flexible I was, so by touching my toes. I told him right there, I'm not flexible at all. I'm sorry. So my hands were more than, I think, a feet above the ground. And I was just looking at him, at the computer screen, and I was like, I'm sorry, I can't go beyond this. Um, so he very nicely told me that don't worry about it, Tuheena, you don't worry about the flexibility aspect. Yoga is much more than that. That will come with practice. You need not worry. So I think that was very comforting as well. So that was the application process. My result came very late. So I was very nervous because I felt like, maybe I'm not selected, because some other people that I knew had also applied, like my friends who knew them. And they were like, oh, how come you've not gotten in yet? These people have got. I was like, oh shit, don't tell me that this is not going to happen. And the day I found out that, I've been selected, I remember I just knew that my life is never going to be the same. And I was just so happy about that, because I think that was something that I longed for a very long time. So, yeah.
Wow. So my application thankfully happened very quickly. And funnily, I'd
Oh,
already
nice.
quit my job before even the results came. So I had, like, if they hadn't taken me, I don't know what I would have done, because I'd also quit my job. So I'd put in my papers before I got even selected. And so I was very glad that they did accept me.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
glad that your thing,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So my story is similar, for those of you who don't know, I used to work in consulting, and I'd been working in consulting for almost 8 years, and sort of nothing was really wrong, but nothing felt like this was
Sorry.
it. There was nothing I could complain about, but life just didn't feel. I just didn't feel
Mm,
like this was what my life was going to be about. So I used to be on my laptop all the time. I used to be working weekends, late nights, and it was just never what I. It wasn't even about the hectic, or the hectic hours or the pace of life. If that was giving me happiness and joy, I know now that we have days where we're starting at 3:30 in the morning and ending at 10
yeah.
at night, but it never feels like work, or it never feels like something that's giving me a lot of putting me in misery. So it wasn't about the work, it wasn't about the hectic hours, it was just about it not giving me joy. And
Yeah.
yeah, and so I knew that I wanted a break from that, or even I needed to sort of give myself that chance to explore something else, because this was clearly
Yeah.
not working for me. So,
Yeah.
okay, so for those of you who are asking questions, there's a question mark sort of logo at the bottom. If you can put the questions in that, that'll be easier, so that we can just go through all the questions at once. Before I continue, Abhishek is asking, did your interview take place in Isha Yoga Center? No, interviews can be conducted online as well. So for people who are at the center, they of course have an in-person interview, but otherwise it happens online. So you can be in any part of the world, and
Yeah.
the interview can be conducted. So don't worry about that. So just I didn't set the context and the structure for the session. So what we'll do is Tuheena and I will chat for a little bit, and then
Yeah.
for the last 25 minutes of the live, we'll be going over all the questions that you have. Yeah. So okay. Hi, my mom is 43 years old. Can she attend? Yes, she can attend the program. So, okay, before I get into the details of the teacher training program, I'll quickly talk about sort of, how it was for us to begin the teachers training program. So day one of the program, Tuheena, give me your experience. How was it?
Leon, I was so excited, so excited. I think I was one of the first people to arrive because I realized I was the only one with the suitcase, and even I remember the welcome point, it was shut. Nobody is there, and I'm like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. There's nobody I could ask because everybody was doing their sadhana, people in the ashram. So I figured this is where I need to be. And as people came in, the beautiful thing about ashram over there was that everybody had a smile and is just so excited to have you there. And that feeling when you know that okay, this is it. You have finally made it, and here is a chance where you can make your life the way you want to. That feeling that you get. I felt like a child. I felt like a kid who was just there and just ready to, roll. So I was super excited, and I didn't know that participants, just like us, were also volunteers. I didn't know that. And when I found out, I was so, amazed that, people are already in that state of mind where they have come and it's not about, okay, where is my room, where's my luggage, and they're just worried about their own thing. But, they put themselves aside and they have taken that opportunity to, offer themselves in helping everybody else settle down on their first day. So I remember, just finding my room, and I was eagerly waiting for my roommate to come. I was like, I don't know how she's going to be.
Yeah.
And then I found you in my room, and it was so nice. And it was just, and I remember, I think that evening we had gone to Adi Yogi. I think we were supposed to, or in that direction we were going. I don't remember exactly. And we had our brunch on that pathway, just out in the open.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
just like, being in that atmosphere when you're looking at Wellingri Mountains and the weather is so beautiful and all the people are, full of life and laughter. That entire, that beginning of something, that this is the group of people that are going to be together for next 21 weeks, and they're going to go through that transformation. And the way people were on day one and the way they were when the program ended, oh my God, I just feel like every individual was so different, they just, I think, blossomed into their best versions, by the end of it. So first day for me was was like that. It still brings so much joy, when I think
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
absolutely. I look back at some amount of, surprise as well at the kind of person that I was and the things that I had said at that time. I remember we had this session. You remember the introductory session we had in Nalanda, and
Yes, yes,
Swami
yes,
Vilasa was there, and so I'll
yes.
very quickly talk about this. So we had a session in an introductory session where everybody, there were about 160 of us, I think, and each one of us spoke about why we found our way into the teacher training program. And there were a lot of people. I remember being really intimidated because there were a lot of people who talked about how they had done in engineering 5 years ago, done all the programs at Isha Hatha Yoga or the advanced meditation programs. They were
Yeah.
uh, they were talking about how much volunteering they'd been doing at their respective centers, and I was clueless. I was like, what are these people talking about? I have no idea. All I have done is in engineering, and I've ended up here. I
Yeah.
hadn't even done a Hatha Yoga program before that. I had, of course, attended other yoga classes in
Yeah.
that sense, and I had been practicing. So I was
Yeah.
still okay with my physical flexibility and things. I wasn't so worried. But I was
Mm.
like, they're talking about like they've lived a lifetime in with Isha, and I have no idea what's coming, what's in store for me. So I remember being a little shocked that there were people who had been involved for so many years. I was a little
Yeah.
relieved that there were a few other people like me who had sort of just done in engineering and come. And yeah, so it was really beautiful right from the. So for those of you who don't know, the teachers training program starts in July or June depending on the dates, and it starts with Guru Purnami and the Lap of the Master program, which happens with Sadhguru. So it's actually a beautiful time to start this journey. Of course, there's
Yeah.
significance to starting it on Guru Purnami as well, but just it can't be a better. There can't be a better start to the program. It starts with those 3 wonderful days of celebration and joy and just being around Sadhguru's presence, and that itself sets the right tone for the program. So
Yeah.
we'll talk a little bit about the teacher training program. How was the intensity of the program for you? So the program is 5 months, so 21 weeks back to back. So there's no weekend, there's no holiday in between.
Sunday,
It's
no
just
holiday.
back to back. It's 24/7, 7 days a week, and we start at 5:30 every day. Tuhina, I remember, would wake up at 3:30 on most days. I would be waking up at 4:30, after she's already ready and dressed and leaving to do her early morning sadhana. I would wake up at 4:30 and make it in time for class, but Tuhina would be like so dedicated, and I had a lot of. I would look at this girl and I'd be like, wow, what kind of. She's so inspiring, but I could never bring myself to wake up that early. And so the training is quite intense. We're practicing Hatha Yoga twice a day. So there are morning sessions from 5:30 in the morning to 9:30. So around 4 hours in the morning, and in the evening sessions are from 4 to about 6:35, 6:45, 7:15 also at times. So it's
Yeah.
7 hours of 7 to 8 hours of Hatha Yoga plus your Kriyas. So Shambhavi Shakti Chalana in on top of that. And if you're doing the mandala, so you're doing your Kriyas twice a day as well. So it is very, very intense in terms of, the kind of yoga that you're doing, Hatha Yoga that you're doing. In the afternoons, we had sessions, we had educational sessions. So there was chanting, there are there's Nadi Shuddhi, there's sessions on food, yogic food, human anatomy, a lot of aspects. And at night, we would have sessions where we would go through different aspects of, yoga that Sadhguru's spoken
Hmm.
about. So it's a packed day, and as the intensity of the program increases, you start getting evaluated also on being able to teach. So the intensity of the program is as intense as it gets. I did my MBA from MDI Gurgaon. It's a good school, but nothing compares to the intensity that I witnessed at the Hatha Yoga school. Nothing gets this insane. Like it's explosive in that sense. But I don't want to scare any of you. It's incredible because even though the program's really intense, I don't know where the strength comes to go through this, and it comes and you go through it with such grace and with such elegance. So, Tuheena,
Yeah.
tell us about the entire program, the intensity. Did it get to you at times where you felt that it's too much? What have I gotten myself into?
So actually, to be honest, when I came for the training, I was at a point in my life where um, I was just done with everything, like I was just in that state. Like I mentioned earlier, I was working as a cinematographer. So, I always loved the craft of it, but I don't know what it was that didn't give me that satisfaction. What you were talking about as well, that it was not the hectic hours, it was not all of those things. It was just that there was no joy. So I think I reached a point in my life where every aspect of my life I felt like something was lacking, and I felt like I had tried everything, but nothing really worked. So this was like my, like this was it, that I knew that I have to give myself completely to this process. If I genuinely want change, this is my moment. And if I slack, it's on me. It's completely on me. There's nobody to blame. There's nobody else responsible for it. It's all me. And if I can live with that, then I would slack. If I can't live with it, I just was not able to. So things would get hard because, like I said, physically I was not a very uh, I'm sorry, I think in between it got hung,
Sorry.
right? Yeah. No. So, yeah, like I was saying that physically because I was not very fit and I had never done yoga before, so that was challenging for me to wake up every day in the morning and because I'd taken too much on myself. I was like, I want to learn Shakti Chalana Kriya also. I want to do mandala of inner engineering as well, Shambhavi, and plus that normal Hatha Yoga practices. So, but it I never felt that what have I gotten myself into, or oh my God, I don't think I can do this anymore. I never reached that point because I think every time I got there, I was like, this is why you came here. Just don't forget that. And I would always remind myself why I'm here. And I think that just helped me to every day just allow myself to break and just come together again and break and come together again. And I think this practice, this thing, that when it happened every day, a lot of things got released. A lot of things that I didn't even know were holding me back or were the root problems of many issues that I was facing. Everything just kind of dismantled itself. So for me, training, actually, to be very honest, was the most beautiful thing. And the if it was intense, I loved it even more. I'm like this adrenaline junkie, you could say. That you put me in a difficult, challenging situation, and I just thrived the most in there. So for me, it worked really well, actually.
That's
That was
amazing.
another reason, why I wanted to do Teachers Hatha Yoga program, because I found out that it's a very intensive program, and I felt like this is like boot camp for yoga. So I was like, bus, for बोलते कुत्ते की पूंछ कभी सीधी नहीं होती, टेढ़ी होता है. I was like, I'm like that pooch, so I need that intensity.
I agree with you, and it's so nice that you shared this because I felt the same way, because I felt like I needed to be in that discipline and in that rigor of a
Yeah,
program. And
right.
I find that in a structured program, I also tend to do really well in that sense that the mind is programmed. So if
Yeah,
it's give me a schedule to stick to, and this is what you have to do, and these are goals you have to do, I'll do it no matter what. So I
yeah,
struggled a lot during the program. I struggled with health issues, like Tuheena mentioned. So
right.
and that becomes really difficult. A lot of it beyond physical, it becomes very difficult emotionally, because you see everybody around you do sadhana and yet you're sitting on the side. So it was a challenge for me to understand and to experience that sadhana went beyond just doing the physical Hatha Yoga part of it.
Right.
So sadhana also meant that if you're unable, if there's an injury or if you're unwell or whatever the medical condition is, if you're unable to do your practices physically, you go beyond that, and sort of just sitting and visualizing the practices becomes so powerful. And I felt like that brought a different kind of quality to your practice, to my practice as well. So looking back, I'm grateful for those difficult times during the training as well,
Yeah.
because I felt like it needed to break something within me that was probably hampering growth in that sense, whether it was arrogance or whether it
Yeah.
was just
Mm.
unawareness of
Mm.
of experiencing that union that Tuheena spoke about. So so of course the training was a very intense part of the program. There are a few specific questions that I'm going to read out, and Tuheena, we can both talk about those questions.
Sure.
Pratik is asking, can we share memories during the Hatha Yoga teacher training program when Sadhguru came to uh, chat with the participants? So, yeah, for everyone, if you don't know this, Sadhguru comes and gives darshan, especially for the Hatha Yoga training batch as well. And I think that's one of the most special parts of the training program. our batch was really fortunate because we got darshan with him twice. He also came for our graduation ceremony in that sense, where we received the
Yeah.
certificates when we finally step out of the Hatha Yoga school. So for
Yeah.
me personally, it was really special. We had the darshan that happens at the ashram. We were fortunate enough to attend some of those as well with Sadhguru. Now, of course, he's in the ashram on lockdown, so people in the ashram are
Yeah.
getting darshan every day, which is
Every day.
amazing. But we had a few darshans, and then the first time that he came to Adi Yogi Alayam to speak to all of us was really, really special.
Yeah.
Tuheena, you want to share your experience?
I think these experiences are very difficult to express in words because it's something that you it's just it's just difficult to explain. But if I have to say briefly, I would just say that I think in that moment I just felt so much gratitude. Like I was overwhelmed by gratitude that because I could see the transformation within me during that entire period of training. And I just couldn't believe that I had the fortune, or I don't know what I must have done right in my life to have, reached there and to be in that moment and I was just overwhelmed by gratitude, just grateful, and I just felt like I was in grace, and he's just there sitting and offering these tools to us. It's like something that has been so profound, that has been carried out for thousands and thousands of years, and it's just so beautifully put there, and you have touched it, and now as teachers it becomes our responsibility to hold it with that that fragility and with that purity, and just give it to others. So that in his presence when he came, this was something that I remember being so strong in me. And I was just like, tears was just flowing. I just had no idea. In fact, I remember we were given this lotus flower, and then we were supposed to all line up for the photograph. I didn't know we were getting a photo click that day. My eyes were closed. I was just crying. I was just somewhere else. And then, somebody came and they were like, "Hey, Tuheena, you're supposed to go for the picture." And I went for the picture, and I had the opportunity to sit next to him on the floor, but I couldn't stop crying. So I'm right there next to Sadhguru with this face, just like, crying all the time. And everybody then makes fun of me that I've ruined that picture because, I've made the Jan face. But I had no control, it was just flowing through me. And I think Sadhguru is just, he's, you know, I
So
don't know what to say.
so beautiful. Thank you for
How was
sharing.
your experience for
It was
when Sadhguru had come?
it was like you said, it's something so immense that to put it in words or for us to be able to talk about it also seems so inadequate, right? Because
Yeah, exactly.
and it's just it's beyond words, because what you experience is so boundless, and it's like a wall of love, or just
Yeah.
it's too it's someone who's so gentle and so beautiful, and it's just beyond words for us to express that. And it gets difficult to talk about this with a certain distance, because I tend to get very emotional thinking about it as well. So but it's like you expressed it so beautifully, it was really special to
To
just
have him.
be able to, I feel like not even his physical presence, just to be able to go through that program, like
Yeah,
it's been an absolute blessing. I cannot even
yeah,
express. I don't know what I would have done in my life if I hadn't if this hadn't happened.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just, I'm just
Yeah.
each day I'm so grateful for this, because if I had, if it hadn't happened this way, I don't know what I would have been doing in my life.
I know. So true. Yeah. I
Yeah.
just want to share one quick thing. What you were talking about, that how that sadhana is not just the physical aspect of it. There is so much more to it. I remember struggling with this quite a lot because, as I said, I was not very flexible. And, in the training, I see people around me just coming into full Pada Hastasana and, Konasana. Their forehead is not only touching the knee, but, their shin and everything. And I was like, wow, how is this happening? I'm barely able to even stay in the posture because my knees would start to hurt, so much because they were very weak. And I would sometimes get a little anxious that will I ever reach this point in such a short duration of time? And what if I don't? Then I've spent so much time and money and energy into this. I won't be able to reach. Oh no, all these questions, they just start to flush your mind. And I remember that, just like few weeks into the training, as our training is programmed and designed, it made me understand that it's not about the body. It's not about getting into the perfect posture. It's about the process, and you just become part of the process. And one day it'll happen. That is not the objective. That will anyway happen. But the objective is that union that they speak of. And for me, that was such an important switch and relief, because a lot of times when I'm teaching as well, a lot of participants, they're just concerned, Akka, we can't do it the way you are doing it, or the person in the video is doing it, or how the demo person is doing it. When will it happen? What can I do to reach that point? So, I always say that because I completely understand where they're coming from, that it's just about, we get caught up in this physicality of it, but it's that process, just throwing that yourself in that process. It's such a beautiful, affair, as Sadhguru says it, that and when you come out of it, you're just like, wow, I just had like the best time. So this is just something that I wanted to add to what you had previously mentioned.
So beautifully expressed. And one of the Hatha Yoga teachers, Tyagiri, is commenting that Sanjeevni oil is always closed for pain.
Oh my God, yes,
So we
yes.
survived on Sanjeevni oil. I don't know how many liters of
Yes,
Sanjeevni oil the Hatha Yoga teacher
yes,
training program would have used. Because every
yes,
day there would be some part of the body that's hurting. So, okay, I'll
yeah.
just read out some of the other questions. How many students enroll in a batch? So, this would be about, on an average, around 160, 150 students. Okay, what's the charge of the program, so that I want to prepare myself? Okay, so the teachers training program, the program fee is 5,50,000 for the entire program. And then there is some additional charge for your accommodation, which if you're taking shared accommodation, then it's around 50,000 rupees. So the total thing comes to 6 lakhs for the entire program. I remember that when I found out about the program, the cost, the price of the program was a little prohibitive, because I felt like, it's a lot of money. And
Mm,
of course, in terms of time also, it's a lot
yeah.
of commitment. But now that I look back, I feel like not only was it, not to say that, we can't, of course, quantify these things in material terms, but just I would say that, if you have the money and if it's not a problem, the program is worth everything and much more. So
Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah,
for
so
sure.
that's what I'd say. Tuheena, you want
Yeah.
to say something about that?
Yeah, I completely agree. In fact, this was a major factor that I was also considering at the time of application, because it is, if if you've not experienced it, you always feel like this was quite hefty on the pocket. But it just because I had actually met a friend of mine who I've known for a very long time since college, and I saw her go through this transformation and how she'd come out of it. So she was also a reference point for me, and I could see that her journey was so beautiful that I just felt like maybe it's worth it. Let me just give it a try. So that helped me to, take that step towards it. In terms of that financial conflict that I had. But once I was in it and, I was looking back, I was like, like what you said, you can't quantify the kind
Yeah.
of experiences and transformation that you go through. That it's worth everything and much more, like you very rightly said. And it's just, that this is like an investment that you make for yourself that lasts you this entire lifetime and many more. Hopefully not, but
Hopefully not.
hopefully not. Yeah, exactly. Just for this one. But it is just it's something like what you said. If you can, if you feel like there is a possibility that you could arrange for those things. In fact, there is a provision that if you do become a full-time volunteer over there, or if you have been volunteering with the school for like say 3 years, then you can go through that training without any cost
Yeah.
incurred.
Yeah.
So they'll just take care of that. So that is also an option if somebody wants to do it and they want to be in the ashram and finances are an issue. This is also one way of going about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. So, someone else has commented asking that is it mandatory to teach after the teacher training program? No, it's not mandatory. So, you can go through the program, and if you decide to not teach, that is okay. But, however, I would say that if you're getting into the teacher training program, if you're doing this, of course, I understand that you want to do it from a personal growth and, for point of view, but you're taking a seat for someone of a Hatha Yoga teacher, right? So the
yeah.
reason this program has been introduced is because Sadhguru wants Hatha Yoga in its purest form to be taught to the world. Because we've all, there are so many variations, forms of yoga that are being taught, and of course, it was that what compelled him to start this teacher training program, because he felt that it was important that yoga be taken to the world in its pure, authentic format. So, in that sense, that I would highly encourage people who want to do this to not just see it as a personal transformation goal, because the program itself is very very powerful, and it is for training Hatha Yoga teachers. So the kind of, and of course, I don't need to say this, because once you go through the program, you would really want to teach after that. But yeah, but it's not
Yeah.
mandatory. The school does not force you to teach if for whatever reasons
Yeah.
you decide to not teach. Um, okay.
In fact, I just want to add to what you just said, Kanaka, that, another aspect, training is one aspect of it, but once you start teaching, that's a different kind of sadhana altogether,
Yes, absolutely.
and it is so beautiful. It's again an opportunity for us individuals to, transform ourselves and make spirituality or the path that we are walking on to deepen that entire process. Teaching plays a very, very important role as well. So the training never ends just in those 21 weeks. It's like this endless, beautiful process, which stays with you, and every day it's evolving. It's up to you how you want to nurture that. So it's definitely not compulsory to teach, but it brings tremendous transformation just taking that process to everybody else as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, someone's asking about the age limit. There are a few other questions which are not related to what we're talking about, so I won't get into that because practice related questions, maybe we do that separately. But today we'll only be talking about the teachers training program. Just another point to what we just discussed, Sanam, who's also an Isha Hatha Yoga teacher, has mentioned that you can always do Sadhanapada if you want to go through something similar, correct? So the Sadhanapada program, which was introduced 2 years ago, it's a beautiful opportunity for you to spend that much, in fact more time in the ashram, 7 months in the ashram. Not only do you get an opportunity to do your practices, You get an opportunity to volunteer in different aspects of the ashram, of different projects that Isha is involved with. And from what I hear, it's a phenomenal program. So in case you're not looking at teaching Hatha Yoga, but you want to go through a program of such intensity and transformation, Sadhanapada is a beautiful option. Yeah, thank you for that, Sana. So one more person's asked about the age limit for the program. So in our training batch, we had participants who were 18 years old, and there was the oldest participant was a very inspiring Anna Premana, who was 72 years old when he was in the training. So that was phenomenal, to see him go through the entire training program. And so you realize that age is not a factor. So age limit, in that sense, there's no fixed age limit as far as I am aware of. So yeah. Okay, I'll just read the other questions. How will it be done this year? We're not aware of that, so we're not in a position to answer what is happening this year. Everything's, of course, all programs are currently postponed. We don't know about the teachers training program. My guess is that it could be postponed a little bit because July seems unlikely, but please don't hold me to this because I'm not qualified or involved with the teachers training program to be answering this. Okay, we have about 5 minutes left before we'll sign off. What are the requirements to be qualified for the program, and how does one apply? Is age considered, and how long is the program? Okay, so we've been discussing these aspects throughout the live. The program is 21 weeks long. Age limit, I just talked about that. To apply, there's all the details are available online. So you have to search for Isha Hatha Yoga Teachers Training, and it will take you to the webpage, which will give all the details for application. Now, when we did the program in 2017, it was mandatory to do the inner engineering program before the Hatha Yoga Teachers Training program. But the subsequent year, they added an additional requirement that you also had to do a Hatha Yoga program before you became eligible for the Teachers Training program. Yeah, Sadhguru will be live in a while, so we'll quickly wrap up. I just feel like there are a couple of more questions, and mainly about sustaining your livelihood afterwards, teaching, and whether you're able to sustain yourself financially and things like that. So Tuheena runs Avahanam Hatha Yoga in Ahmedabad, and so what we'll do is now, of course, we don't have time to get into those details. So Tuheena, how do you feel about doing a part 2 of this live? Maybe in a day or two, where we talk more about the business aspect of things and the teaching aspect of
Sure,
yeah?
definitely.
Okay, great,
Okay,
great. So we
yes.
have Tuheena on board for that. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. Good morning. Did you pack a lot of clothes for 21 weeks? It's a valid question. We all had very heavy suitcases when we arrived, but the accommodation, the cottages are small, so don't carry too much. I would say that
You were always washing and
yeah, we
doing
were always
laundry,
doing
I
laundry, and a lot of the intensity of the program is also doing laundry, managing your laundry.
remember.
So yes, thank you so much for for joining us on this live. There's a lot to talk about. So what we'll do is we'll do another live. I'm also planning to bring other Hatha Yoga teachers as well for this live, because we'll get an insight into how the different teachers are managing. Some of them are dedicated Hatha Yoga teachers. Some of them are running their own studios, whereas some of them are operating independently as teachers. Some of them are traveling and teaching. So we'll have those conversations, so it can help you also figure out how you want to take this up. So thank you so much, everyone. I'm sorry if we couldn't
Thank
answer your
you.
questions. We'll try our best to get to them in the next week. Thank you. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.